Ahoy, me Jeds. Welcome back to another Tips and Tricks VOD, where I'm going to explain your tips and tricks on how to survive the Jungle DLC. Now, the Jungle DLC, let's explain, is basically the first DLC that was initially added into Minecraft after you've beaten the main island. You actually come here before the main island, but either way, this is basically the first DLC ever added to MCD. Now, I'm going to show you tips and tricks how to survive the first jungle basic area. The next one, I'll explain how to defeat the boss, like I explained in my ocean tips and tricks VOD. But either way, let's get... Alright, boys, we're loaded in. I thought I will skip the loading screen a little bit, but either way, we're loaded in, and welcome to the jungle DLC. Now, like the normal jungle you find in the normal overworld, it basically have all the lush biomes, lush jungle trees and everything, and jungle mobs. Now, the normal jungle mobs that tend to spawn in the jungle DLC is mostly creepers, slimes, and a new zombie variant, which is a poison zombie variant. The normal zombie variant can also spawn in this area, but be careful, there is a poison variant zombie gives you 5 seconds of poison damage. Now, he also, same likewise with the skeleton counterpart. Now, the normal skeletons also just do spawn, but they do spawn the spawning skeletons. They do the same thing as what the poison zombie does. They give you 5 seconds poison damage to hit you. Now, my first suggestion is to try to avoid the shots from the skeleton. Those poison skeletons. Poison damage has been updated. It does a lot of damage. When this DLC initially first came out, poison damage was nothing to worry about. But poison damage is something to worry about because it does a lot of damage. Like weather, it does quite a hectic amount of it. Okay, it's a little weaker than weather, but it does a lot of damage. So tend to avoid the zombies from hitting you, or at least have a lot of healing items, like a totem of healing, or at least maintain your potion supply. At least in some standards. Otherwise, do avoid those. There does spawn a lot of creepers, a lot of them, so be careful. Another tip, if you do come across a ocelot, a good old ocelot, don't kill them. They do not harm you, they are completely harmless. Even when you do attack them, they're not like dolphins in the ocean where they blatantly just attack you. They will just like completely ignore you, they'll just run away. Again, be careful. The space is very dangerous for poison. There's a lot of poison. Now then, my ocean tutorial, I explained that these guys spawn here. The little good old weeping guys. Now, they can get dangerous. These weeping guys are very, very dangerous. Especially on the higher levels when they start inflicting various poison. Ooh, and now then a combatant come up here. I'll explain him a little bit more later. But let me finish explaining the Weeping Guy. I'll explain him a little bit. Alright, now the Weeping Guy has 3 attacks. He has his normal attack. Actually, he has 4 attacks. He does attack normally to get a melee range of. But he has that attack where she summons these vine wolves. They do disappear, so you have to attack them. But if you're stuck, you can attack them and get rid of them. They especially get dangerous when these bigger guys attack you. But either way, you don't really have much to worry about since they do block mobs too. Now, his second, or like third attack, he tends to summon 2 or 3 turrets. Now, these turrets do get dangerous, like they get tedious when they pull a lot of them. Now, they don't do any poison damage to you, but they do a lot of damage to in general. So be careful. Now, this is his other attack, which he summons these vines. Which is the same as poison seeds. They basically just regenerate. Basically, you're just stuck in the position. They do poison you too. So be careful, because they do a lot of it. Now, let me see if I can find another one. Oh, never mind. There it is. Now, this is the second plant-based boss. Now, be careful with this guy. He can hit like attack. He does like this little leap attack. He does like a little chest pound before he leaps. So if you stand still, or he just jumps, but sometimes he does alert you. He does about like 3 jumps or so before he tires out, so you can attack him. Tires out. or every jump he does fire out. But do be careful with these guys. These guys can hit like a truck. Their general melee attack is also pretty hard, but they do just leap attacks to like a hook. So be careful. They do hurt a lot. They are pretty tanky, but obviously this is a lower difficulty. I'm obviously overpowered. But for your guys' sake, be careful. They hit like a truck. Be careful, especially when you're doing dailies on this map. They do hit like a truck. So I'm gonna skip a little ahead to the next area, and I'll catch you. Alright boys, this is the next area. This is the next area which you will encounter. This will practically be your first event-based area where you'll be encountered. Now, you don't really have to do much. There's a bit of chests around where you can actually clear out the mobs before you start this event. I do suggest clearing out the mobs first, or at least by some standards try to move away the mobs. But either way, once you've done that, click this like little spinny lever thing over here. A wave of mobs will attack you. Just be careful. Not one of these hulk skeletons, poison skeletons, and all basically the variants of mobs will spawn here, including spiders. I forgot to mention that spiders do also spawn in the jungle. But don't worry, they're not poisonous. They are just normal spiders. But either way, once you're done fighting here, the door will lower, a chest will drop. Get some free arrows or potentially a piece of gear. Now, you can continue on here. This is going to be the second puzzle area. Now, once you finish that puzzle, you come up to this second. Now, again, follow my directions on this. Do not go otherwise. Go middle first. Once you got done middle, go right. If you press the other one, the other door will just open and mobs will spawn. So go first, middle, and left, then right, and go up and go right again. Now you could press the other button. There is another button there, but either way, for preferences, just do this. And there will be a wave of mobs that do spawn. Just be careful when you're up here. Go down the stairs, preferably, so you don't end up stuck in a crowd of mobs. Now, once you're done fighting those mobs, you open up again. Hit the lever again. You will open. Another wave of mobs will attack you. Also, apologize, doggos are barking. But once this is open, yeah, boys. Again, apologies, doggos are barking in the background. Since people are here now. Anyway, by the way, for your mobs, there's also a gold chest that will spawn here, so do not grab the gold chest. Once you grab the gold chest, you run through. Anyway, continue on. So, I'll meet you guys in the next zone. Alright, boys, here's another tip or suggestion. There is these potions that do drop. They're called the oakbrew. Now, pick up these if you're struggling against monsters. I just found this potion just lying here. Like, there are multiple of them spawning while I was killing these vines off. Don't have to worry about these vines. These vines don't really bother you that much. They just block your path. They don't do any serious damage. But either way, pick up an oakbrew. It's like an ironite amulet. They do stack with iron amulet if you're concerned about that. They do stack with it. But otherwise, you can just pick it up if you don't have an iron amulet. They give you a little bit of boost. They help you against those giant hulking plant monsters. But either way, also, I came across the next area we're going to explain. Now, this next area, I would urge you just to prepare for it first before going in. So, my suggestion is maybe what you should pick up is, if you have picked it up along the way, pick up the corrupted seed. Now, I did mention this earlier. This is some of the, plant monsters' attacks. But this basically, what it does is it entangles mobs, roots them down and poisons them for approximately 4 to 3 seconds. But either way, it stops them in their tracks. This is a great thing to pick up. Second thing I would urge you to pick up is a Gong of Weakening. Make sure to equip your Gong of Weakening since you're gonna need it for the fight. Now, as a suggestion, you can wear your Ghost Cloak if you get to the sticky situation, but if you're feeling confident enough to survive the fight, by all means, use something else, like Ironite Amulet, or preferably a Deathcap Mushroom. Or you could just use a Golem Kit to summon a Golem to help you with the fight. But either way, for my purposes, I'm just gonna be wearing the seeds, the Deathcap Mushroom, and the Gong of Weak. Now let's get started on this fight. Now to get into this fight, you just gotta destroy the vines. Now, you could destroy all the vines around if you want to, but not necessary. There's plenty of space to do the dodges. Now, to stand over here to avoid... Now, the space is very short. There's very little space to dodge at. The mobs do not get affected by the roots. So, well, mostly those reaping guys don't get affected. So, be careful for these guys. They do hurt a lot. But this is kind of where the roots come in. Those, obviously, my corrupted seeds instant kills everything. But either way, as you can see, these weeping guys do not get affected by the weeps. So, be sure to destroy at least 3 parts of the weep so you can get, like, access to the area. But otherwise, do keep the corrupted seeds on you. They help against dealing with the skeletons. Since the skeletons tend to wander behind the weeps. If you destroy the weeps, see, like this guy, he can shoot through the weeps. So just destroy them. Once you got done with that, they normally spawn about, I think, 4 waves at a time. So just be careful when you do fighting them. Otherwise, just keep your distance from those big guys. Make sure to destroy the weeps. And be sure to pick up the oakwood potions. So you can basically get that extra defense. Also, apologies. Also, there spawns 2 of them at the end. So if you're a bit low health, be careful on that. Then, all you gotta do is continue on. Now, this map is pretty long, so that's why there's a lot of jump cuts on this. Also, I forgot to mention that witches also do spawn in the jungle area. So, do be careful for them. They do basically the same poison attacks as they normally do in the swamp area. So, be careful for them. Also, be careful for enchanted mobs. Enchanted mobs, they can get dangerous here, especially later on. Especially with the poison added on top of that, they can get pretty dangerous. So, be careful. Keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, guys, I'm gonna skip a little ahead to the next puzzle. Alright, boys, this is the next area. It took me a little bit of the run here. Again, like I said, this map is pretty long and it can get pretty tedious with all the vines and stuff getting in the way. But either way, here's another little guide on how to, like, beat the next puzzle. My suggestion is just be explorative when you come to this next part, because you're gonna have to look for these statues. These statues are going to help you with the next puzzle. As you can see right there in the corner behind the objective, you'll see there's the next puzzle there. So do remember the statue. Remember, these statues can spawn in many variants. They can be a zombie, which you can see in front of me, a skeleton, a slime, and an enderman. Sometimes there can also be a Steve, sometimes, but I have never encountered it. But either way, there's a zombie. So either way, you make your way down here. Remember to fight through all the monsters. Be sure to clear the area just to help you do the puzzle a little easier. It's not always this crowded, since I'm playing a slightly a bit higher difficulty than normal. You would encounter this place first. But either way, you come here, and you'll see there's 2 of these buttons. This is basically the start of the puzzle. Just click them until the corresponding statue's face shows in front of it. Now, there was a zombie. Now, there's a trick on this puzzle. If you're not feeling in the mood to continue exploring, you can just continue clicking on this button until the correct statue shows in front, and then you can just skip ahead and press the button. But for the boys that want to be explorative type, you can come run down here. You'll find the second statue just down this hallway. Just make sure to clear up all the mobs as you go through. And you make your way through. You'll find a couple of crazy monsters here. Be careful for the slimes. Slimes tend to get dangerous when they are enchanted. But either way, you'll find a second statue. Sometimes the statue is a slime. Sometimes the statue is a zombie, creeper, skeleton. But either way, that's an enderman, I believe. So then you run all the way back. You can pick up some speed boots to help you along with this. Or get Tempest Resolve Knife and it will help you along with us. Either way, start clicking on that. There's a cat. And boom, there's the enderman. Now once you got those statues, do prepare ahead. If you're a little weak for this fight, just prepare ahead a little bit. Now, I would suggest using the gear I'm using, like the combination. But either way, if you're a little weak, just use an Ironite amulet. Or something that can at least stun the mobs in place, just to help you a little bit. You can always also use the love medallion. I forgot to mention. You can also use the love medallion. This helps a lot. It can tame, charm up 3 monsters at a time. tips enchanted mobs don't really work, but they also do help deal with the monsters in general. It also gives those mobs, those 3 mobs you get charmed, a little bit of damage. So this would seriously help you with this fight. I will equip it. I'll show you why I'm going to replace this, since this is technically overpowered for me. I can literally kill the mobs, but this just roots them down and poisons them. But either way, what you do when you're prepared, click the button, step outside. Sometimes you get stuck there, so just move a little bit. But anyway, the fight starts. Okay, so use the charm. Just use the charm on those. I don't think the big guys can get charmed, so don't even try attempting to charm them. Anyway, there's going to be about 4 or 3 waves that are going to spawn in. Obviously, I'm just destroying everything. That's about the 3rd wave. So make sure to use your charms whenever you can. Sometimes sometimes if you freeze like that, just check. Okay, yeah, these boys cannot get like charmed, so don't try to charm them. They don't get charmed. Now there's spawns about 5 waves. Again, the end wave is gonna before the last wave, there's gonna spawn like 2 of those guys, so be careful. Now, over on higher difficulties, this will be harder there, because harder, dangerous mobs are going to spawn in, like enchanted mobs and that sort of stuff. I think this is the final wave. It's like the 6th one. And there we go. That's pretty much it. You have successfully survived Jungle DLC. And you have successfully gathered your loot and gear successfully without any armor. Guys, I'm going to go quickly explain you to some gear you can maybe wear. I always do this at the end of the VOD, so you guys can see the smooth gameplay first, and we'll do all the technical side last. But anyway, guys, I'll see you back at camp, and I'll show you guys what gear you can... Alright, boys, we're back to the classical, good old storage chest. But now I'm going to show you guys what type of gear you can potentially wear during it. Obviously, you're not going to have, like, a lot of gear when you first initially started the DLC. Maybe you have a little bit of gear build up, maybe from events or something, or from special, like, drops from your friends. But either way, I'm going to show you what type of gear you can potentially wear for this event. Or for this DLC more. Now, the gear I could recommend that you are going to find within the Jungle DLC is going to be the Ocelot armor. This is a very nice armor. Especially when you first start off in the DLC, I would recommend putting it on as soon as you find it. If you get good enchants, obviously, of course. But either way, it's a great piece of armor. It helps you with your dodge roll. So if you're a guy that loves dodge rolling around, dodging attacks instead of just taking the punches, I recommend putting this on. You can take a few hits. It does give you damage reduction. It's pretty good on the damage reduction. Now, there is a legendary variant of this, which is called the Shadow. I believe it's called the Shadow. I don't think I have a pair on me now. Double check. I might have a pair. Let's see. Apparently, I don't, but I know there's a legendary variant for this. It is slightly better there. Nothing. It still has the same enchant. I think the legendary enchant is Aerobat, I believe. I'll probably add some description below. But either way, let's continue on with the next piece of armor that you can wear. Splendid robe. The classic. Obviously, when you have done through the whole main mission and you're starting your DLC journey, you might have picked up a Splendid robe. Splendid robe is great for here, especially when you come to those little tiny arena areas where you're like tight and there's not much dodge space. This is going to be great. Splendid robe gives you 30% melee damage, which is great, especially for the whips. Yes, another weapon that does drop there is whips, but we'll get to that soon. Otherwise, the others benefit from really having the Splendid armor on is for the artifact cooldown, so you have more chances of slowing down the mobs, or stunning the mobs, or charming the mobs, or more or less just, pushing them away from you, or healing, or taking a buff where you can take less damage, like the Iron Knight Hammer. So this is just generally a good armor. Also, it's 50% artifact damage, so that corrupted seeds do more damage. Again, the corruption seeds do poison damage, so the damage is basically added on top. Another good piece you could pick up if you're feeling like taking the hits. I was just picking up the full metal armor. Full metal armor is pretty good. It helps you with just general melee combat in general. That 30% melee damage, same as the Splendid robe, except This armor is just a little bit more tanky. Same as the stalwart armor, it gives you the negation. So if you take a hit, like a drastic hit, you have a 30% chance to negate the hit. Then the other, same as the stalwart armor, it basically gives you a 35% damage reduction. Except there's a very downside to using the metal armor, which gives you a 100% dodge roll cooldown. So if you are going to go for this, just be careful. You don't really have that many dodges. But the same with the stalwart armor. I could, honestly, my personal opinion, just go for the stalwart armor instead. I know the heavy metal is nice. It gives you all those nice buffs, but this doesn't give you the damage buff, but this does give you extra defense. So if you want to go defensive, go for the stalwart armor. It gives you a little boost, especially when you get low HP from the poison. Pop the potion, you get potion defense. This stacks with the Ironhide Amulet and the Oak Wood Potion. So you basically get a triple defense. So if creepers, this basically defense, you get your creepers. So the creeper explosions do way less damage, especially against the creeper. So let's see what other good pieces you can pick up. I would say go for the Fire Ember Robe, but not always recommended. If you have done other DLCs, like with your friends, maybe the Frost DLC, I could recommend picking up the Frost Armor. This helps a lot with damage, especially the Chilling Aura, which helps against the spiders. Trust me, the spiders just get annoying to fight. They really do get annoying to fight later on, especially when they whip you in and it's just annoying. This could help you with that, especially when you have thorns, with the thorns damage on. But either way, let's move on to the weapons. Now, in the Jungle DLC, there is quite well, not really a lot of variant weapons you can find, but you can find the whip. This whip it's okay. It is longer reach like the spear or like the polar lance. It just hits farther. It's slightly faster than what you would find. There is a legendary variant. The legendary variant is very nice for dealing with bosses, but you don't really need it immediately. It's a good weapon, I guess, but it's not the best. Now, obviously, I'm gonna introduce this. Well, not introduce, just say what weapon you're gonna use. Curse Axe, best for dealing with those tight quarter crowds, especially when it has exploding on it. It helps also deal with the vines, the little vines in that one little area you encounter where you have to like fight your way through. This works very nicely for it. If you have done the Water DLC, you can basically use the Encrusted Anger. Works nice, but it's slow, but it works good. Another odd choice, if you have done your dailies, Bee Stinger. Interesting, many people tend to not use this weapon since it's more like a tank weapon. Like the Rapier, it has the fast thrust attack, but what makes this thing special, it spawns bees. Bees have a unique ability of drawing aggro. So when you're in those tight corners, what I mentioned before constantly for the last 3 times, they will help you with those, retracting those big hulks away from you. So you can take time to either recover or take the opportunity to just surprise attack. Now, one last good weapon to introduce. Not that really. I guess if you have done the End DLC, you can use the Starless Knight. This thing is pretty good. It has the excessive damage per hit on nearby mobs. So every third power swing you do like an AoE attack. This goes very greatly when you're fighting. So this is more for the later on players. If you have done all the DLCs, you want to redo the Jungle DLC, I guess you can use the Starless Knight. It works pretty great. Now for the Soul users, I guess you can use the Jailer Scythe for the chain, so you can chain the mobs up a little bit, prevent them from spreading a little bit, especially for those weeping guys. Or you can use the Frost Scythe, which has slow, and there's soul gathering on it. Obviously, this is not a soul scythe, this is a skull scythe, this is an event item. You can also use your event items if you want to. And an interesting choice. I know some people love to use longswords. For you guys, you can use the Heart Stealer. This weapon is pretty nice, especially with the massive knockbacks it does. Also, it has leeching, just general leeching on it. So it's a pretty powerful sword. It's slow, but it's pretty good. You can use this for the sticky situation. Alright, let's move on. I did explain a little bit into artifacts, but just to remind you guys, use your healing totems for the poison, so you can resist the poison a little bit more, so you don't take that much damage. Or you can use corrupted seeds if you find them, pick them up within the Jungle DLC. You You basically use them to root the mobs in, especially the skeletons. The skeletons tend to run away from you. Or if you're having trouble getting through the vines and you're having trouble getting to the weepings, you can use the ghost cloak since you can basically travel through. This is the ghost cloak. Since the vines are actually just normal mobs, they're just wall mobs. You can run through them with this. If you have done the Never DLC, you can pick up the Power Shaker. Power Shaker is pretty cool because it does explosive damage. Pretty nice. So during those tight waves, you can also use the Golem Kit. I know I'm going a little bit fast through this. But either way, I'm trying to make this fit into a 20-minute one. But either way, you can pick up the Golem Kit. It really works nice too. Let's see, what other good item can you pick up? I guess the Beezy Nest. But if you don't have this, you can always pick up the Beezy Nest. Also, make sure to bring your Ironhide Amulet. It works great with the Oak Flesh, like I said in the VOD. But either way, if you don't have Oak, you can always just still use the Oak. Either way. Also, Gong of Weakening for those tight spots. So you can basically debuff everybody and you can do more damage, clearing up much quicker. But otherwise, guys, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not going to introduce the Fighter's Bindings. Fighter's Bindings are just an obvious choice. But if you want to use them, you can use them. But either way, guys, I think that's pretty much it. I have explained practically everything that you need to know about the Jungle DLC and how to beat it and how to beat those tricky parts. And also how to avoid some sticky situations. And also what mobs you should avoid to kill. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for stopping by. Next video, I'm going to be heading to the Overgrowth Temple. I will explain to you how to fight this boss. This boss is a tricky boss to fight. I know some people tend to struggle with it, especially when they're lower geared. But I'll try and get that VOD out as soon as possible. But otherwise, guys, thank you for everybody for stopping by to watch. And congratulations, you have beaten the first level of the jungle level. I'll see you guys in the next video, in the next level too. Peace out.